What's up, travel lovers? Bienvenidos and welcome to northern Spain for my hiking special on the Camino de Santiago, the northern way, or what they're calling the Camino del Norte. This is episode 7, my final episode of the journey. I'm starting off here in the small town of Baamonde and heading all the way to the endpoint of Santiago de Compostela. As you can see, I woke up super early and it's raining. I have a long day ahead of me. Let's get hiking.
On day 31, I would leave Baamonde and arrive to Sobrado dos Monxes, covering roughly 41.2 kilometers and approximately 450 meters of elevation. Fully wrapped in rain gear, I headed out of town for what will be the longest and most challenging day of the entire Camino. Probably the most challenging of my life too, for that matter. But there was an upside. I had less than 99 kilometers to go. Not long after leaving Baamonde, I would be trekking through some really nice scenery, which helped take my mind off any doubts I was having about completing today's monster hike. Luckily, in a couple of hours, the sun popped out and the rain subsided. I took a second to pause to thank whoever's in charge of the rain. I then continued the next several hours walking through rural areas, barely even entering small villages. After much perseverance, I would arrive to the endpoint around 30 minutes after dusk. On day 32, I would leave Sobrado dos Monxes and arrive to Arzúa, covering roughly 21.4 kilometers and approximately 200 meters of elevation. First thing I did was check out the Sobrado dos Monxes monastery for a quick peek, but then I was on my way. The weather was miserable. I decided to stop for a beer, hoping it would help minimize any future discomfort. I left the town and started my hike. Today I got a late start as I wanted to be fully rested after yesterday's super long trek. In a couple of kilometers, I was back in nature, facing the elements and walking along muddy paths. Around the halfway point, I would start passing through a few small villages, and I was thankful to be walking on pavement again. The weather seemed to get worse by the minute, making it darker sooner than expected, and it would take me nearly 1 hour of walking in darkness before I would reach Arzúa.
Update, Peregrinos. Last night marked the end of the Camino del Norte, and I have met up with the Camino Francés for the remaining 2 days until I get to Santiago de Compostela. Yesterday was a freezing cold mess, as you saw, and it looks like today the sun popped out and I'm nice and dry. So let's get going.
On day 33, I would leave Arzúa and arrive to O Pedrouzo, covering roughly 19.3 kilometers and approximately 100 meters of elevation. As I left Arzúa, I passed a trail marker saying I only had 38 kilometers left. I can't believe how close I am to the end. The weather wasn't perfect, but after the last 2 days of tons of rain, I was happy to see the sun. The weather continued to get better and better. I was walking in rural landscape. However, I noticed the villages started turning into towns as I got closer to Santiago. I also started noticing a lot more peregrinos and even chatted to a nice woman for Asia. We walked together for an hour or two, discussing the differences between the French route and the northern route. Around sunset, I made it to O Pedrouzo.
Today is the day, the final day, the 34th day of the Camino de Santiago. I have mixed feelings. I really want to complete it, but I also don't want the journey to end. The rain is coming down, but this isn't gonna stop me. Let's get hiking.
On day 34, I would leave O Pedrouzo and arrive to Santiago de Compostela, covering roughly 19.4 kilometers and approximately 150 meters of elevation. I headed out of town, and it wasn't long before I was back on dirt paths, walking among the trees. It was raining lightly all morning, so when I passed by a cafe, I took the opportunity to warm up with some nice Spanish red wine, and to celebrate my final day of the trip. After all, Santiago de Compostela was literally within my grasp. I put my pack back on and continued on the trail. Almost instantly, I met up with a peregrino I had made friends with several days before. It was great to catch up and discuss how bad the weather had been the previous days. We both agreed that all things considered, we were pretty lucky, since we only had 4 or 5 rainy days out of 34. We walked together all the way to Santiago. The last couple kilometers were by far the hardest of the entire trip. My body was pulling me in 2 directions. One half of me didn't want to finish, because that meant I would have to return to my everyday life. But the other half was eager to complete this epic journey.
Well, peregrinos, we did it. We are in Santiago de Compostela. Right behind me is the famous cathedral. I don't even know how to explain it in words, but in 34 days, 900 kilometers of hiking, it feels so great to be here right now. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey. If you have any questions about the Camino, hit me up in the comment box below. I would be glad to help you plan your Camino. If you had a great time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because I do trips like this all the time, and I would be glad to have you come with me. So, safe travels.
Don't leave yet. There's tons of great videos to keep watching. More importantly, did you subscribe yet?